we have one life to live. Seeing my mom go through a very aggressive breast cancer, it was the most challenging thing, most difficult thing I've ever seen in my life. I had a lot of health anxiety, and I thought, oh, anytime I feel this in my chest, I must have cancer. What are the things that I'm doing that can make sure that I'm here for my kids as long as I possibly can be? Move your body, eat well, live well, love well, try to reduce your stress. Health is wealth. That is something that is extremely important in my life. Live this life to its fullest because my mom didn't get to.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rise Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Hanny. Today, I got a special guest. We have Natalie Bell. She's the founder of Pack City Lovely. She's also the founder of Natalie Bell Consulting. So it's a pleasure. I remember the first time I connected with her was at Ignite, and we did our interview, and I think it got so many, good feedback. So it's a pleasure, Natalie. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me today. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Awesome, Natalie. Take me back because you got so much good energy. I could just kind of feel it the first time I even met you. But how did you come up with all this energy? Where did it come from?
That is a very good question. I actually don't, people ask me that all the time. I don't know what the trigger was, the catalyst was. Because when I was younger, I was a voracious reader. I would just be reading books. Everyone would be like, where's Natalie? She's in her room reading books. That's all I did. Read. And then, you get into high school, junior high school, and I'm like, oh, okay, people. All right. Okay. I kind of like this, I'm starting to get a little social. And then high school hits. And I'm like, okay, this is my time. I like to do all the things. I was on the student council, sports, planning dances, and sock hops is what we used to call them way back when. And I think it's just, for me, the energy comes from the people that surround me. I love the aspect of being around people and connecting with people. There's something very powerful and there's something impactful about the humanity of it all. That we're all different people, right? Mm-hmm. But we're all getting to know each other in different ways or have an opportunity to get to know each other in different ways. And I think that energy excites me and just, it comes out of my pores. I don't know. I was like, how do you do? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just a part of who I am. It is just a part of who I am. I don't know that there was a trigger or a catalyst that made me be so energetic because I was also a very quiet kid who people would say now, yeah, right. I was a little shy when I was younger. But then, there's something about the ability to connect with people, and that has always been a driver for me. It's a driver in both my businesses now.
Yeah, and also too, you're a marketer. Like you started Pack City Lovely in like 2012. Yeah. So how does, because you said you have a lot of the energy, and then you're able to get into marketing. Because marketing, you have to put yourself out there. So how did that start? Like, what was the idea behind? That was a long time ago.
Pack City Lovely, yeah. So we're going on 14 years, which in this content creation world, people would be like, "How have you been in it that long? You're totally an OG, right?" Because a lot of people would start something, and it's a lot of work, and then they stop. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of accounts and people that I know that were in the same, doing the same thing as me, and they're just not doing it anymore. But when I started 14 years ago, it actually started before that because I was always on Twitter. Connecting with people online. And I had a very strong following on Twitter from the engagement that I had there. So I was like, oh gosh, I really... And back then I was starting to follow a lot of different big bloggers, and I was like, oh, I should really start my own blog. I really should. But I'm working full time. I'm on Twitter. I'm just like, I don't know when that will happen. All of a sudden, I'm going on maternity leave. And I'm like, this is my time. Because babies, what do? They're just supposed to eat and sleep and poop, right? So I thought, I have all sorts of time. Little did I know I didn't really have that much time. But I thought, okay, let me take this following that I have on Twitter and that engagement and that connection, and let me start doing more long form content in my blog. Mm-hmm. So I just started writing. I wrote about why was I blogging? I wrote about I'm about to be a mom again because I have 2 older daughters. And I wrote about, after he was born, I wrote about being a mom again and being a zombie mom. And oh my gosh, I forgot what this is all about, and changing diapers and daycare and clothes and all the things. And I was just sharing life. And at that time, it was a very big time for what you would call mommy bloggers. So everyone was a mom blog, and I had like a caricature of my face on my blog. And I was like, you know what? That's not me. That's not me. I want people to see me. And so that's when I started putting my face on my header of my blog and in my pictures and all that kind of stuff. And with that, I had a YouTube account, and I was posting on YouTube, doing some reviews. I did an HP printer review that has the best views ever, just letting you know. And I still have that printer to today. I was doing reviews on YouTube. I had my own podcast that I had started. Like, I was doing all of this while working full time. Mm-hmm. And I built this Peg City Lovely from that off the side of my desk vibe to now being able to do it whenever I choose to do it full time. Yeah. So it all started with, again, connections and conversations. There's just so many things that I was learning from people on Twitter. And I was like, gosh, these people who are writing these amazing stories about their lives, I want to share a little bit about mine as well. And so it wasn't just all fun and diapers and babies. I then was starting to talk about mental health. I started to talk about health anxiety. I talked about my mom as she was diagnosed with cancer and subsequently passed away very young. I talked about being in an interracial marriage. I talked about being, a mom with 2 older kids and then, this new baby. Like, I talked about life in Winnipeg, period, but from my perspective. And it seems that a lot of the things I share seem to be really relatable to people. And that's how we continue to stay engaged, because I'm just out here living life and showing what I do. And yeah, I'm not 20 years old anymore, but there's a lot of things I still do that people consider fun or would like to know about, or there's things I talk about that are a lot deeper that people want to also engage with as well. I even talk about my HR consulting on Peg City Lovely. So way back when, it was started out like cutesy and all that kind of stuff. And it's just morphed into this amazing personal brand that has a really engaged digital community that I absolutely love.
And do you think, because a lot of people say follow your passion, that's like the new thing, right? People always talk about follow your passion.
Yes.
But for you, you just got into it because you had a kid and you went into writing, and it was just something that you just discovered.
It was something I was always already doing, but I didn't have the mechanism to do it. So I was always, like, anyone who knows me knows, I was always very social, out there doing all sorts of events and all that kind of stuff. But online, it was different, right? Online, I was connecting on Twitter and doing those things, and then reading these blogs. And I was like, yeah, I want to share more. And that's when the blog came to be, because I was working full time. And I was like, when am I going to find the opportunity to start a blog? And then lo and behold, I was on maternity leave, and it worked out because I wasn't working, just doing different kind of work. Yeah. Mommy work.
So Natalie, tell me, because you grew up in Winnipeg, which I actually didn't even know when I was looking into you. So it's pretty interesting to see Winnipeg has changed over the last so many years now. Where are you originally from? And then tell me a little bit about why you're so supporting small businesses. You're going in the community, you're talking to people, like you're just so open about that. Why, like, where does that come from? 'Cause that's
I think that's childhood. That's how I grew up. So yes, born and raised here in Winnipeg. I am 50 years old, half a century, y'all. Yes, I'm just putting it out there. I'm so proud of my age. I love the age that I am right now. Wow. So born and raised here, but I have a very, very, very strong immersion into Jamaican heritage, because that's where my parents are from. And so I remember, being younger in the, I guess, 70s, 80s, and, the West Indian vibe was all about community and connection and house parties. I remember my parents we were always at someone's house for a party. And it wasn't like party, everyone's drinking. It was like reggae music's playing, everyone's vibing. That's just how the community was at that time. And so that has never left me, because it played such an important role in who I am today. That community vibe, that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Even though the Caribbean community is not as prevalent, I would say, as they were in the 70s and 80s. But that has definitely shaped me into who I am today.
But also Africa, I feel like we are the culture. When you look at people who come from Africa, people don't know, like, we've created so many different things. When you look at innovations like the lights, but the thing is, when we come here, because we don't know where to go, we don't have an environment, we don't have a community to go to, so we tend to get lost, right?
Yeah.
So,
then we isolate ourselves, right?
Yeah, it's a very small, very small community. Because I grew up 95 Ellen Street, so at Aircom, so I know what it's like to grow up with, Somalians, Eritreans, Jamaicans. So that was already in my root. But when someone comes here, if they're born in, I don't know, in the South End, or if they go to St. Vital, it's different, right? And when you grow up in the inner city, it's like you can kind of see the perspective of people don't have as much, people have a lot, right? So going back to you, though, Natalie, how did you see that early on with Winnipeg? Because the transition has been a lot over the years. So much has been happening.
So much has happened. I mean, I grew up in Transcona.
Okay. What's up?
Okay. Just T-Kona in the house represent.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's before nobody really probably knew how many years was that?
I was in Transcona so I've only been in my new area for the last 14 years. So most of my life was in Transcona.
And it's grown.
And I visit there now and I'm blown away at how big it is and whatnot. But when I was going to school, etc., I was the only Black girl in my class, the only Black girl doing this, the only Black girl doing that. And so thankfully, because again, of our heritage and community, immersing ourselves in Jamaican Association events, all of the different types of things, so that we were able to see different aspects of the community, right? It wasn't just, hey, we live in Transcona by ourselves and we never see anybody, or we never come downtown or anything like that. Our family, my family is quite large. My dad is the oldest of 10, and almost everybody is here. There's a few siblings in Toronto, and everyone has kids and everyone has grandkids. And my grandma is still alive, and she's here, and she's 94 this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So our family is huge. So, and that's on my dad's side only. On my mom's side, she was the second of 6. And everyone has kids. And my grandma is still here too on my mom's side.
Yeah.
So we have a huge family, and that's that community and these perspective. And we were all living in different areas of the city. But when you come together, you get those perspectives. You get that diversity of thought, right? Because you're not just isolated in your one little community or neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that has continued, but it's, technology plays a role. Everybody's busy, which is the word I hate using now because everyone's got a gazillion things going on, myself included, but being more intentional about that community, about that family, about the city that we live in, participating, volunteering, being on committees, et cetera, to understand better about our city and what we need. Those are the things that are important now, I feel.
And you were very big into the community. What are some strategies that you use when it comes to connecting? Because you're very good at, because it seems like a lot of people, when they hear Natalie, they're like, oh, I know who that is. Right? Because you're showing up.
Yeah.
Right? Half the battle is just showing up. You show up, but tell me, how do you go about it when it comes to like just building those connections and maintaining them? Because it's
interesting because I've thought about this before, and I thought, do I actually have a strategy, or is it just a part of my makeup, right? It's just a part of who I am. But there's something to be said for if I'm in a room of people that perhaps I've never met before or don't know, I will go introduce myself. Hi, I'm Natalie. How are you? What do you do? That very simple, back to humanity kind of conversations. I think we get caught up in, oh, well, I don't know anyone here. I didn't bring any business cards. I'm not sure if I should even, all it is a greeting. Hi, Hanny. How are you? My name's Natalie. That's all you need.
Curiosity,
right? So I don't know if it's a strategy per se, but I want to get to know more people in this world. We have one life to live.
Yeah.
I want to know more people. I want to know more diversity. I want to know more thoughts and perspectives. How am I going to do that if I'm never connecting with people, if I never introduce myself and say hello? So when I walk into a room, if there's people I don't know, there's always someone who makes eye contact with me. And I'm like, you're it. Hi, I'm Natalie.
It's that energy that always comes back.
Yes, you're stuck with me now. I don't know. It's something I've always thought about because people ask me that a lot. Like, how do you just seem to know everybody? And it's not that I know everybody. It's that I feel it's so important to connect with people. And it's not like, okay, well, I've connected with you. Now we have to go have coffee. Now we have to go have lunch. Now we got to do it. No, I'm just connecting with you. And if there's a reason for us to connect again, we've made that initial connection, right?
Yeah.
But it starts with the greeting. It's just the simple highs and hellos. You know, even when I'm walking every morning, I walk in the neighborhood, minimum 30 minutes, minimum. Sometimes I have music on. Sometimes I'm recording voice notes. But most of the time, I just want to walk and feel the sun on my face whenever there's sun, Mother Nature. But I just, there's people walking their dogs. Hi, how are you? Good morning. That changes things in people. They feel different when they, and there's people who are walking with their head down, right? And it's still, hi, good morning. And it just like they didn't expect me to say that, which is, that actually saddens me a little bit.
And I think with social media, we sometimes we feel like we're being connected, but
yes, it's not the same.
You're in marketing, so you would know. I do marketing as well too. Sometimes you're posting so much content and people are feeling it, but until you meet them in person, they're like, "Oh wow, what you said there actually impacted me." Then you can actually feel it. So I think nowadays it's like the smaller the interactions you have, really. Because I can automatically see someone's energy by just how they approach or what they do, right? So me and you connect, I'm like, wow, she's got a lot of energy. Like I know it's just bound to happen, right?
Yes.
It's just what do you call? I don't know if you're into vibrations or
yes, absolutely.
Right? All that, you know what I mean? Because
all about the vibes.
Because that's your environment. I believe your environment shapes your reality. So who you hang around with, the things you do on a daily basis, all those things make an impact. So tell me, Natalie, you said you were 50 years old earlier.
Yes.
You're very active in the gym. I see you're always running. You're always
active.
Yep. Like what? Why is that so important? Because I believe health is wealth.
Health is wealth. Health is wealth. That is something that is extremely important in my life. And not that it wasn't before, but seeing my mom go through a very aggressive breast cancer was probably, I shouldn't say probably, it was the most challenging thing, most difficult thing I've ever seen in my life. And so once that was happening and that was going on, I had a lot of health anxiety. And I thought, anytime I feel this in my chest, I must have cancer. Anytime I feel this in my arm, I must be whatever, right? I had a lot of that. I still do sometimes. But seeing my mom go through that, especially when we've never had cancer like that in our family ever, and she's the chosen one to go through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a really, 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 really tough thing for me. Very tough. It's been 13 years. And I thought to myself, okay, what are the things that I'm doing that can make sure that I'm here for my kids as long as I possibly can be, right? How can I take care of myself to make sure that I'm not only here for my kids, but my dad, my sister, my family, my friends, my husband, right? And so I used to relax my hair all the time, chemically straighten my hair. I'm like, nope, not doing that anymore. What's going into my scalp? What's seeping into my body from these chemicals to straighten my hair? Like, nope, chopped it all off, went natural. And it's glorious. Thank you. I love it. And then, yes, what do I need to do to eat better? When can I make sure that when I go to a physician and I get blood work, that I know what they're telling me, that they give me a copy of my paperwork so I can do my own research, so I can advocate for myself. Eating better, making sure I have physical activity and movement every single day, no matter what that is. Working out, lifting weights, all of these things. When you do them on a regular basis, as those things become a habit, you feel so much better.
Yeah.
It's science. It is guaranteed. Guaranteed. Move your body, eat well, live well, love well, try to reduce your stress. That's all I'm aiming for, right? And people are like, "You're 50?" I'm like, "Yes." And I'm proud of being 50. Very proud. And that age means nothing because how I feel a lot of times like I'm 20 years old. I probably act like it sometimes too. But it's that intentionality with wanting to live this life to its fullest because my mom didn't get to. And I want to do that for my own legacy as well, right? I want to make sure that I'm around. I want to make sure that the things that I do influence change in some way. I do that with my business now in HR. I want to make sure that the communities that I'm a part of or that I touch are influenced positively by my presence. Congress of Black Women of Manitoba, as an example. I'm a director on the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce. So all of these things, it's intentionality because we have one life to live.
No, 100%.
That's it. One life. And only you can live it, right? You can't live my life for me.
Yeah.
I can't live my life for you. Your life for you.
No,
right?
that's deep you're sharing there because that's fundamentally speaking, like everything starts off with the things that you do in the morning, right? Not at night, right? It's like, what are you doing? The habits that you do every single day, it compounds. So, God bless your mother for you being able to share that because that's not easy, but you have to go through in order to really, really see that. But Natalie, tell me, you're a female entrepreneur, a Black female as well too. What's the journey been like? Because that's, you know what I mean? Because when we talk about when you were the first Black kid in your class, especially, it's Women's Month as well too. Yes. I know it is. And why is that so important when you're telling women to go for it and push through and, put yourself out there? You're encouraging because that's your ideal client profile essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why is that so important for you?
Oh, because I know what it would have felt like had I seen that when I was younger, right? When I was younger, I didn't see a lot of representation in so many different fields. There was things we were not taught in school about Black entrepreneurs, Black physicians, right? Black mental health. All of these things weren't talked about. These were things that if you happened to find out about it, then you would know, right? And so for myself, even from an HR perspective, which I've been doing HR now for 26 years, I was one of very few Black women HR professionals in this city. There was just a handful of us. We would go to a conference and we would all just kind of join up together because it's like, there's only 4 of us in this room of 1,000 people, And now, 20 odd years later, it's so much more, which I'm very, very excited to see. But to be a Black woman entrepreneur in this city, never mind anywhere else, I would say it has been challenging, right? Because we don't always have the same opportunities that others do. And sometimes those opportunities are, how do I say this nicely? Maybe I don't want to say it nicely. It's like, oh, well, let's sponsor a BIPOC woman this month. Like we're less than, like it feels like it's performative sometimes versus I know Natalie is one of the best HR professionals. I'm going to hire her regardless versus we need a Black HR professional. I've heard about Natalie. See the difference there?
I see what you mean. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so the opportunities or the ability for us to lead in the spaces where we need to be is still very much a work in progress. But there are so many women in this city that are leading the charge in mental health, in health, politics, HR, finance. There are so many Black women in this city that are leading the charge in those areas. It's a matter of how do we now have that visibility without having to ask other people for it?
Yeah.
Like we should just have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that it's been challenging, but at the same time, in my years, in my journey, I have seen the growth. I have seen so many people step into these amazing roles of leadership in this city. And, I hope they're not tokenized for it. I hope it's because, of who they are. But we are blessed with a lot of amazing Black women. And that intersectionality is really important, right? Because yes, it's Women's History Month. But when it comes to Black women and that intersectionality piece, it adds a layer of complexity because we're not all treated the same. Yeah,
I think also too, going back to just that Ignite event, what Mark, the founder of Ignite, is doing.
Yes.
Black, he talked about the George Floyd incident where he passed away. He saw the initiative, then he started that movement. For you, it's like you want to get a seat at the table, but first create value, right? And you've done it for like 20 years ago with your HR business. And what do you tell that young entrepreneur, female who's coming up now? How do you get a seat at the table? Because sometimes, like for me especially, as I'm growing and building these communities, I find that it's much harder for people to see the vision early on. But it's like, for me, I'm already selling out 50 people, 60 people.
Yes.
Like, people are expecting you to go to like a huge venue for them to actually invest in you. So I feel like sometimes the biggest thing is like just support me, because I'm putting this on because I'm doing it for long term as well too. Yeah. I see what it's like to grow up in the inner city. So these are not things I'm just talking about from a book. It's things that actually lived real life
experience. Yes.
So I think when people are going through these things, it's important that, you know, sometimes it takes a little bit longer for people to see the vision. What's that like to tell someone who's just coming up? For example, me, I've been doing it for like 3 years now in business. Yeah. But I've always had the entrepreneurial mindset when I was a young kid. But it finally it clicked for me. I'm like, okay, maybe this is something that I want to do, because I had a mentor who believed in me. It's like, you can actually do this. Now here's the
yes. Yeah. And that mentorship, sponsorship, if you will, is so important. And I know I didn't have a lot of that when I was younger, not Black anyways. I definitely had some mentors. But these networks, these communities, these events where you have an opportunity to connect with those people who are at the tables, it's important to be in those spaces if you can, right? The barrier can be financial at times, because you look at some of these events that, you know, they're costly. But there are also virtual communities that you can connect with and network with. But for someone who's coming up now to want to have the ability to be at those tables is still a challenge for me 26 years later. And I feel that it's changing, but the guard, if you will, is still up. And so it's about us being a collective. It's about us coming together. It's about us not always, oh, well, Hanny's got this event that he does now. Oh, but I think I could do it too. So I'm going to do that on this day, at the same day as his. And let's see who comes to mind versus who goes to Hanny's. Like, we got to stop doing that as a Black community, for one. We have to be a collective. We have to be very collaborative so that we're not worried about getting a seat at that table. We have our own table that others want to come to. But if we're always separated and segregated, that's not going to work.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's that collaboration piece.
It's collaboration. And so, you know that I'm in HR now. I know you're doing real estate. I know you. If I'm in a room where someone's talking about real estate things or what have you that I know of, you know, your skill set, I'm going to mention your name in that room. That's what we should be doing for each other, mentioning each other's names in those spaces that we're not at, right? Because there's so many barriers to get to those big tables that everyone's talking about. But we can't, I can't just build a table by myself. I need you to help me. 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 And what happens when we do that? We have our own table, right? And others see us working together and want to be a part of it, right? But we keep looking for this to go over there. Why? Right? What is it that they're doing differently? 100%. That access will come to us too, as long as we're working together. It's the segregation, it's the separation that is a challenge for our community.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I think it's just someone has to start it, and then eventually, you know, you got to collaborate, because collaboration it's the ultimate way to getting to anywhere you want to go, because it's people. At the end of the day, if you have people skills, which you've done very good at, and I've been working on those skills, just making those smaller introductions go a long way. So tell me a little bit about Natalie Bell Consulting. You said HR consultant for 26 years. What's like, because I'm an entrepreneur, and I think a lot of time people don't know is to be a business owner, a lot of it is not so-called because of the market or what's happening. A lot of it is just mental. You probably dealt with so many different kind of people. The mental aspect of it when you're dealing with clients. But just break that down to us as an HR and like when you're helping someone.
Yeah. So first, I'll give you a little background because my HR consulting business is just 4 years old. I've been in the HR profession for 26 years. So I've worked corporately. I started out as an HR assistant and I worked my way up through various HR roles progressively till I was like senior manager of an HR department, as an example. And then I went into consulting for a firm and then I went out on my own. So that's kind of been my journey. So this entrepreneurship journey has been about 4 years from the HR side. Peg City Lovely I've been doing for, almost 14 years. But from an HR perspective, when I think about how people need that type of service or need employers, nonprofits, small, mid-business, need to understand the foundations of what human resources is, I want to be that person to help them. That's my thought process. I want to be that person to help you. Because in this day and age, and in our city, I will tell you right now, there are several businesses that don't have even the basic foundations of people practices that they need to have. So whether it's the different policies that align with employment standards and legislation and things like that, a lot of businesses don't have that. They're just doing whatever, flying by the seat of their pants, Googling things, using AI, which isn't always right. I will tell you. I will tell you, I have many examples. So, I think from the perspective of being an entrepreneur in the city and how to connect with other entrepreneurs, that's another thing. It's networking. It's sharing your expertise. It's sharing relatable nuggets to people that they understand. Oh, okay, now I get what you do, or now I see why you would do that, or who I know should connect with you because of what you just shared. Because we all have different expertise, right? And so if your expertise, like I said, a lot of what you've been doing has been in real estate and community building, but I know that now because of what you've put out there. So now I can speak pretty confidently to say, you should connect with Hanny. And someone will tell me, well, why? And I said, well, have you seen how he's built community over the last little while? This is how he's done it. You should maybe be a guest on his podcast. Hey, I have his number. Do you want me to reach out for you? It's it's the conversation. I think we get so bogged down in the process and the structure of what it should look like or what entrepreneurship should look like. But it should also feel good when you're doing it. So you said earlier, it's about following your passion. It's also about living your passion. Yeah. Right? People feel that. They feed off of that. If you're doing something that you're not passionate about, people know. They can tell.
Absolutely. And you can't be afraid to make that first instant. You can't be afraid to reach out. You can't be afraid to want to start that business, because sometimes it's, like you said, you were in corporate for like so many years.
Yes, over 20 years.
Let me just go do my own thing. So what is that? What's that moment like to be like, I'm just gonna quit this and go?
It's so funny because so many people said to me that everyone is like, so Natalie, like, when are you doing your own thing? And I was like, oh, I don't know. It's that limiting beliefs in yourself sometimes, right? It's like, can I do this? I don't know. Is this for me? I don't know. But you never know until you try. Yeah. Right? 100%. If I was to leave my consulting business tomorrow, I definitely would be able to get another job, right? I know that. The skill set that I can provide in that area, I know that for a fact. So being able to step out and say, this is something I want to do. I have brand recognition already. A lot of people know my name, right? So from a reputational standpoint, that has been very helpful. A lot of my business is all referral. It's referral, but it's also because I keep showing up. And people hear my name associated with HR. They hear my name associated with content creation. So if you keep hearing it over and over and over again, it becomes something that you're like, oh, content create. Well, I know Natalie Bell does that, so I'm going to contact her.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
100%, yeah.
So it's interesting because I keep getting to the fact that there are a lot of people who perhaps need that structure and process to get into business, to say, this is what I want to do. And I would say, don't get too into the weeds to it. So to the point where it now doesn't feel like you want to do it anymore. Right? But again, connecting with other entrepreneurs, other people who just started their businesses. What are some of their struggles? What are some of the red flags they've had? What are some of the green flags they've had? You won't know until you start talking to people. If we get into these silos of, I'm just going to search it on the internet and I'll get all my answers from there, then you get what you get.
I think nowadays an information overload. There's so much stuff out there nowadays. You can get information so fast with AI, YouTube, and everything like that. But
you can't get that information. I'll give an example from an HR perspective. So we know there's tons of opportunities for AI, right? So there's probably a ton of businesses, small or large, who knows? Those who don't have HR folks will say, well, we don't really need HR because we can just get that off of AI, those policies, right? We can just make our own.
Wow.
Okay. But AI doesn't always get things right. AI doesn't know the legislation most times, or how to interpret it, or how to operationalize it. Whereas someone who myself has had 20 odd years, 25 plus, 26 plus years of experience, I've actually experienced those cases with those policies. So now I can tell you, okay, for this policy, here's an example of where this happened in a previous employer, and here's what you might want to do now. AI is not going to tell you that. It never will. It doesn't have that personal experience. It is a great tool for if you want to summarize things, your policies, or there's lots of great ways to have it as a tool. But from any kind of entrepreneur standpoint where someone may say, oh, well, I just get AI to do that, show your value. What is your value? Right? Because that is where you're going to influence the mindset and the change to say, okay, we don't just need this. We need this person to help us with this. And here's why.
I think it's the skills. You have the skills and capabilities that, technology, even though it's there, the human touch is always going to be like, being able to sit down with someone, giving them an advice, consulting them. So now tell me, what's like the biggest challenge that you see with small to medium sized businesses when you're working with them? Because there's a lot of challenge when you're talking about these policies and stuff.
Yes, the challenges are, there's quite a few, but I think there's challenges from different sides. So from an HR perspective, my ultimate goal has always been to be that neutral, balancing party between an employer and an employee. So employer has to follow all these rules and regulations and legislations and all this kind of stuff so that they can run their business, right? Health and safety, et cetera. But an employee also has to know all the rules and legislation, et cetera, to ensure they don't get hurt, to ensure they are abiding by what the employer has. And HR is kind of the glue that sticks it together, right? And so the challenge I'm seeing is that a lot of businesses are like, well, we don't need HR. HR doesn't make money. It's not a revenue generator. And I challenge people with that because are you having difficulty with people attending work on time? Are you having difficulty with people having disrespectful conversations at work and not getting their job done, et cetera? There's all these people things, right? Yeah. People are peopling all the time. And so my comment to that is that if you have the appropriate HR policies in place, people practices in place, those things should be drastically reduced so that your business can thrive, right? Mm-hmm. And so when your business thrives, you're making the money, you're generating revenue. That's how HR can help you as a strategic partner. But getting that across, because we've seen the bias in movies and TV shows that HR is just this woman who sits in an office with her glasses at the tip of her nose doing the paperwork. She hires and fires and does the paperwork.
Yeah.
That is a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably are some people that do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. What kind of businesses do you work with?
All sorts.
Like small and medium, or you?
Architectural firms, lots of different nonprofits in the arts and culture industry. I've even worked with some small government departments as well. So it's not. There's not really been a, hey, you only need to work with these kinds of businesses, because people practices are needed everywhere.
No,
everywhere.
100%. Yeah. And I think the thing is with small businesses that we just don't know. We don't have nobody really kind of give us guidance on what it is. And especially for me, when you look at especially Winnipeg nowadays, the last 5 years, a lot of convenience stores opening up, a lot of small businesses, people from my background, and they don't really know how to, like, they come from a third world country. They come over here to make a living because they want to survive, but they don't actually know how to run a business.
Yes.
So when we talk about marketing, sales, HR, right, these are not things you'll learn how to do. You know how to run the business, but you don't actually know how to actually grow the business and scale it and do. So when we talk about, I think HR, I think it's mindset. I think that's one thing I realized, like, even for me, is like, because I'm learning, right, as you're teaching right now. But you have to know these things, that they're out there. And as you grow, you tend to want to look at different ways to be able to move and grow your business. What's that mindset shift that people have to take, though? Because it's not just something like, oh, here's how you could do this, and this is what it's like mentally they have to be prepared.
Yes.
So do you think people lack, is it mindset, is it skill set? What do you think is the most important thing in those two? Because,
like, from a small business owner perspective, is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think just in general, because you've been HR now for 20 years, you have the skills, and then of course the mindset is like determination and the things that you've been able to go through. A lot of people don't really know, like, they might have the skills, but they lack mindset. They have limiting belief, right? And so there's so many. I think it's life in general. Like, what do you think is the most important thing in that aspect?
I think it's a mixture of both. Like, mindset plays a big role. It might have, it might be a 60%, and then your skills is 40%, because you got to have the skills too.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a balance. It's such a balance, because when you think of the mindset of what's next for you, your business, and the things you want to do, the people that work for you, how you choose to see that and how it fits with the people that you have to communicate that with is very key, right? If you don't have the mindset for how this is supposed to run, because it's one thing to just run the business, right? Open the cash register, take the money. Right? It's another thing when you have 6 people working for you now who depend on you for their livelihood, who depend on you for their safety, right? Who you depend on for your business to grow. So if your mindset isn't right from the perspective of, like, yeah, I'm just doing this to do this, good luck to you, because you have so many different elements that you need to be aware of, that you need to be cognizant of. Right. So that's a tough question. I feel like there's such a balance there. And I think maybe the skills and the mindset tip each other and be higher in certain situations for different, versus others.
But I think the reason why I ask, because depending on where you grew up and where you come from, I think subconsciously a lot of us are programmed. I feel like programming doesn't really start when you're older. It starts when you're younger.
Starts when you're young.
Yeah, so I think being able to reflect, because I think when you're running a business, a lot of it is mental. Like, it's going to be those days where things might not work, things might work. But then, as you said, I think the culture piece is so important, though. Like, when you're, especially on the community side of it, now when I'm doing these events and I'm giving people opportunities, we're doing so many free events, and I'm like, they're actually not free, because people are actually getting opportunities, they're getting employment. People are like, they feel they're part of something that's bigger than just an event.
Yeah.
Right. So I think when you're
Which is
building,
awesome.
when you're building something, I think it's about that culture, really seeing people like stepping out of their comfort zone, whether it's someone who's learning how to do an event, who's someone who's learning how to do sales. So I've been able to see the community aspect of it where I'm not just growing myself, but I'm also growing people that are beside me. And I think that's one thing that I've been able to kind of see, like, wow, this person is actually, he wants to do this, but now he wants to do something even more.
Yes.
Because depending on where they start, they might start off working a job. And I think the job is a good starting point. But then when you get out of that job, what happens next? How do you use your skills now with the mindset? So that's kind of how I look at entrepreneurship, because
and there's one piece missing, I would say, is that ability, which took me a long time to do, is that ability to use the expertise of those who know how to do something better than you do.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not an accountant. So why do I think I can do all of my business admin by myself? That's not my expertise. So I'm going to ask for help. And that is probably one of the hardest things I know for my personality and who I am. I can do this. I can do this. I learned how to do this. I went to U of M for computer science and applied math. I'm a techie, right? And then it's like, but you can't do everything.
Or I'd ask AI.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, who are those people that now I have networked with, I've connected with, that have expertise in the places that I don't, but that I need?
Yeah.
Right? So those are the pieces that perhaps are some things that we miss as entrepreneurs, is remembering that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to delegate things or refer things to people because your capacity is at max.
No, 100%. Yeah. Natalie, earlier you're telling me that you could be my mother earlier. That was a joke.
I could be everybody's mama.
That was a joke we talked about earlier. But tell me, how has like being a mother and growing kids, and because I see that in your stories you post a lot about your son winning the hockey game.
Yes.
Why is that so important for you? Like, because I'm assuming that's like your why. That's why it wakes you up doing the things that you do, like being a mother. How has that been like for you so far?
Oh, my babies aren't babies anymore. So I have 2 older daughters that are 28 and 24. And then my son is about to be 14. Wow. And motherhood is no joke, I will say. But there's something about bringing life into this world, a new life into this world, someone who now is going to experience all that you perhaps have experienced in this life, right? It's a scary thing. And I know in the last little while, what I've been seeing is there's a lot of people choosing not to have children, which is, of course, anybody's choice, because of a variety of reasons, I would say. But my personal experience of motherhood has been absolutely amazing. I love my children dearly. I hope they're listening, because you just see things differently through the eyes of children. You get a different perspective. And so you don't have to necessarily be a mother to do that. But, if you're an auntie or uncle or whatever, you can see through the eyes of children, the innocence, the fact that there's so many things that they haven't been tainted by yet, if you will. They're not caring about news events and all these kind of stuff. But as parents or parent figures, we want to make sure that they also live a great life, that their life to live is long, right? So it's motherhood and Black motherhood is again, there's that intersectionality which makes it so powerful, because I know what it was like with my mom and her mom, and how the generational aspect of heritage and the importance of family, what that means to me in the work that I do and how I choose to move in this world is because of my experience with motherhood. And it's a joy. And now I'm also a grandmother of 3. So it's like the cycle starts all over again. But these ones I get to give back. They don't stay with me.
So Natalie, tell me, did you grow up with a lot? Because you said you grew up like 70s, 80s. That's what you said a long time ago.
In the vibes.
Yeah. What were those days like? Because you said
it was so much more carefree, I would say. I mean, like you see all these posts on social media now of like, what did you look like in the 90s or what did you do in the 90s? I had my high top fade with my Malcolm X medallion. I was no joke. I might have to bring those pictures out. But it was a lot more, I would say, carefree, right? We weren't, when I went to the park or wherever with my friends, it wasn't about, hey, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I can't see where you are. Where are you?
Or
versus you'll just get home when you get home. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was also like, the family curfew or whatever, making sure, try to get home before dark or whatever. But it was just a lot more carefree. There was a lot more things that I feel like we did back in the day that we don't do anymore because we're so inundated with information, like you said, stuff that I used to decide to watch the news for. I don't have a choice now. Like no matter what, when I open my phone, there's something that's telling me about something that perhaps I wasn't looking for or didn't, know about.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, I had to go and look for that. I had to choose to do that. And we don't seem to have that much choice anymore. And people will say, oh, well, just get a flip phone. I'm like, okay, but that wouldn't work too well for my businesses.
No, it won't work too well.
Yeah. And there's that intentionality of making sure I'm not on my phone 24/7, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be. I love being outside. I love golfing. I love pickleball. I love, going for very long walks. I love my bike rides. I love checking out new things in the city, right? It was just more carefree. I long for that.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
And it's hard to try and reverse that because we've gotten so much more technology and so much more things, right? It's no different than way back when the internet came along, right? And then everybody's on the internet. Like it's evolution. Yeah. It's evolution.
And the worst part is when you're at some place and someone is texting you, when you can literally just walk up to you.
It's like, are you not just 5 feet away from me? Hello.
Come on.
Right?
You see this as well too, like in business, when you're running a business, it's like you got people working for you. It's like you could literally just come and say, ask me the question instead of texting me that, couple minutes.
Well, in a lot of the workshops I do that relate to like respectful workplace training and things like that, a lot of times I say in my training workshops that we've forgotten what it's like to be humans. A lot of times we've forgotten what it's like to truly be social, because in the event that someone is disrespected at work and you perhaps witnessed it or were a bystander nearby, why are we not going to say to the person who was disrespected, are you okay? I'm checking in with you.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore. Instead, we pick up the phone and we text so-and-so and say, oh my God, you should see what happened at work. Blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, that person's over there having been disrespected and nobody's checking on them. Like we don't seem to do that anymore as a society. And that's a scary thing.
Do you think that comes from empathy though? Because I think empathy is a big thing. Like earlier you talked about like walking up to someone and saying hello, like how are you doing? Like, because I think often I realize that whenever you go up and you ask someone like, how is your day going? Simple as that, you realize like they're going through a lot.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so I think from experience, like when I'm going through stuff, I can kind of see that, like I'm going through this, maybe I should share this with this person and he can kind of reflect. So I think empathy plays, because when you open up and you can have that dialogue where you're not just afraid to share something, and you're like, like he just shared something with me that I didn't even know.
And now maybe I'm going to share something back because, wow, I've experienced that before, or I know someone who has, and here's a resource of what helped them, right? But we make a lot of assumptions, and that's why another training that I do is disrupting our bias, right? We all have bias from when we were kids, from TV shows, from culture, all sorts of biases that we have, and how we disrupt them is important because we make a lot of assumptions based on where someone is from, what they're wearing, right? What stores they get their groceries from. We make these mental decisions behind the scenes subconsciously that change how we interact with other people. So for example, when I mentioned at the beginning that I'm from Transcona, right? First thing everyone is like, whoa, right? Because Transcona, right? But the same thing can be said for other things. Just like, you know, if someone is driving and has road rage, for example, and they see that the person that's slowing them down ahead of them perhaps has gray hair and looks older. So, you know, it's like, honk, honk, get out of the way, grandma, right? But guess what? I'm a grandma. Yeah. Would they say that to me? What would they say instead? Right? We make a lot of assumptions because our brains are processing so much information that those are easy shortcuts for us.
Mm-hmm. And I think I always say, like, don't judge a book by its cover. Like, you might see someone and be like, even for me sometimes, like with the marketing and all the stuff that we do, I tend to realize, like, I don't care what people have to say about me because that's, you know, I'm going to wear the same clothes. I'm going to do this because at the end of the day, I'm me. And as long as I'm staying true to myself, I think
that's all that matters.
What really matters. And I think you see it a lot of time. I studied this book called The Millionaire Next Door. It talks about the most successful, like, entrepreneur, people who built, like, you know, who have wealth accumulated, right? Because I think a lot of time people think they want to be rich. They think, oh, if I'm rich, if I have these cars, these houses, then I'm going to. But it's like wealthy is it's actually a mindset. It's what you tell yourself, right? And so wealthy individuals, they don't really care about what kind of car they have, what they drive, whatever. It's like they're actually just on the inside, they're okay with having a lot, but not really sharing it, not talking about it, and just knowing that, having that empathy. Like earlier I was saying, like being able to walk up to someone, you know, with a suit and jeans and say, hey, how you doing? Like, it's, you know, my name is this, right? But you don't even know that this person could be worth X amount of dollars.
Exactly.
Right. So I think it's that perspective that I'm realizing more and more, that especially with social media and everybody wanting to look, you know, like flashy or, you know, it could really be
just think
dangerous.
about the assumptions everyone makes about being downtown. Right? Yeah. I work downtown all the time. I walk up and down downtown all the time. I'm aware of my surroundings. I'm in the skywalks. I walk wherever. But there's such a large percentage of people who will never come downtown because they say it's not safe. Of course, there's incidents. There's incidents in every single area of this city. But we've made that assumption that downtown is not safe. And so you've seen all of the different media now about how we're bringing people back downtown, right? Because we need people to come back downtown. But it's because of that narrative that messaging that has now stuck in everyone's brain, that now has become a bias. Right? That assumption is now in the back of everyone's subconscious that I can't go downtown because it's not safe.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, from experience, I grew up on the north end, like 95 Ellen Street. And I think for me, I still live downtown, but I do have traumas because I've experienced, like I'm a kind of person, I like giving people second chances. So I've been able to kind of see friends that I grew up with, and I'm like, because when you change and you see new environments, new habits, you assume that people, as you grow, they change. So I've had an incident where I actually, as I got into business, I had this one friend of mine who I grew up with, who ended up doing some time, who went to jail. I grew up with him in the north end part of the world, city. And then I wanted to give him a second chance because I felt like he's from my country, nothing can really go wrong. And then he ended up essentially wanted to buy a bunch of phones from me, and then I ended up losing like 50 grand because they ended up setting me up with like, I got, you know, robbed with a gun to my face. And so when I share that story, like, I think people know that what's happening in downtown, but in reality is like, do you have that perspective? Because if you're just watching it on the news compared to me who has actually
had the experience,
right? It's completely different things. So for me, that's actually given me an advantage in most parts because I've been able to go through those things. I can actually walk.
Well, you're trauma informed.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yes. So when people talk about, you know, being a tough and this and that, it's like, yeah, you're on social media posting about it, but I've actually experienced it.
Yes.
So I think a lot of time we can't be afraid to go in these environments, because at the end of the day, it's like, if all you do is you see good things, which is nothing wrong with it. Like I've had cousins who grew up, you know, good parts of the city, but it's like when they see me, they're like, how did you grow up? Like, how did you like? so they can kind of have that different perspective, right? And I think that's the most important thing. Also, too, when you look at Transcorner now, when you grew up, you might have been tougher back then.
I was real tough. I'm like, come for me.
You know what I'm saying?
Come for me. I'm from Ticona. Come for me.
You know what I mean? So I can kind of see that perspective too from your
I'm also
point.
a Scorpio, so.
I don't know if you want to get into that, but yeah. No, so Natalie, like I said, I really appreciate it. This has been like a remarkable journey of yours and what you've been able to do. So what do you see for what you're building with Peck City Lovely and Natalie Bell Consulting? What does the future look like? Because you're doing...
I keep thinking about that too, because I'm like, oh, maybe I should do my own strategic plan and see where I am going in the next 5 years. But I'm also enjoying it so much that I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing because it feels good and I enjoy what I do. I will say from the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey to now, I've made a lot of changes. So when I started Natalie Bell Consulting, I was like, yes, I can do all these things. No, I can't. I can't from a physical capacity perspective. I could from the skills perspective, but to reasonably do it and do it well, I can't do everything. So now I know what my sweet spots are. I know what the things are that I love to do. I know that I love to deliver workshops and do facilitation. I know that I love to do HR audits for small businesses to make sure they have what they need in place in the event something happens to them to mitigate risk. I know those things about myself. And so that's where I choose to make myself visible and to share those skill sets. And for the things that I know I can do, but I'm not really feeling, I refer them to other consultants, right? And that feels good to say, hey, you know what? I could do this for you, but Hanny could do it better. So here's Hanny's information. I want you to have that, right? From a Peg City Lovely perspective, I think, I one of the things was I never really fully did it 100%. It was always on the side of my desk. It's always been up to like 60% or something like that. I've never fully, I could stop the HR stuff tomorrow and just do Peg City Lovely and I would be fine. I just haven't done that yet. And I don't know if I will. We'll see, because I still love doing the HR stuff. I just love doing these things and I want to keep doing these things. So however that looks in the next few years, I don't know, we'll see where things go with my son's hockey career. And I don't know, I'm very open-minded. Whereas I would say before I'd be like, oh, I got to stay in Winnipeg. I got to do this. I got to make this. And I don't think that way anymore because life is too short. We have one life to live. I'm the only one who could live it. And so that's what I want to do. And I want to do it well and with fun and energy and vibes.
With the right people, right environment.
Yes.
I love it. Natalie, this has been a great conversation. I think
thanks for having me.
I think I learned a lot about you and what you. I think first of all, it's like, they say like attract like. Like when you see someone walk in, you can see their smile, you can see their energy. It automatically, it's like, something is bound to happen. And I think what people don't know is that they subconsciously are going through things, or they might be going through good things or bad things, but it's like having that positive mindset, knowing that when you come with someone else and you connect with them and great things can happen. But I think mentally you have to be prepared for that. You have to go through those life experiences. So I've kind of learned a lot from you, from just sharing that piece as well too. So folks out there, if you're going through life and something is happening to you, it's normal. It's bound to happen. So Natalie, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me everywhere. So for Peg City Lovely and content creation and me sharing daily life, Peg City Lovely. I am Peg City Lovely on almost every single platform. For HR related stuff, you can find me at Natalie Bell Consulting, on Instagram at nataliebell.ca. And that's it. But I'm very accessible. If you hit me up in my DMs, I always respond. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm also challenging Natalie. She's gonna do a talk show one day. a talk show is coming soon from Natalie. I can see Oprah for sure.
I'm saying, listen, Maclean's magazine 12 years ago had me as an article and said I was the next Oprah. But that was 12 years ago. So we got some work to do.
Stay tuned for that. It's coming soon. Okay. This is the Rise Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Hanny Mahari. We're out. Stay tuned for the next episode.